Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're equipping you with the absolute ultimate toolkit to maintain your digital sovereignty while you're traveling in China. We are going to completely wipe out that anxiety of being disconnected and instead provide you with real, actionable, step-by-step solutions for accessing the open internet. Let's jump right in.
Okay, let's dive into this total nightmare scenario that honestly, countless unprepared travelers face the exact moment they step off the plane. Picture this, right? You land in Shanghai, you're ecstatic. You pull out your phone to message your family on WhatsApp, or maybe open Gmail to grab your hotel confirmation, and absolutely nothing loads. No way! You try Google Maps to find a taxi, the screen is totally blank. For a tourist, this can instantly make you feel blind, isolated, and totally alone.
Now, the reason for this is the core villain of our story, the Great Firewall. And guys, this isn't just a rumor or some random glitch, it's a massive, highly sophisticated digital filter. It uses pretty intense techniques like DNS tampering, IP blocking, and server name indication inspection right on the mainland Chinese infrastructure to restrict access to over 311,000 domains. That's huge. And yes, that includes almost all of the Western internet services you probably rely on every single day.
So, if there is one absolutely crucial takeaway I want you to keep in mind throughout this entire explainer, it's this. You must prepare your connectivity tools before boarding your flight. The gap between how the internet works inside China versus outside of it is literally massive. Most connection problems happen simply because people try to fix them after they've already landed, meaning they've already lost access to their usual app stores.
It's really fascinating to see exactly what goes quiet when you connect to a local Chinese network versus what actually remains functional. It's kind of a split reality. Google's entire product line, Meta apps like Instagram and WhatsApp, most Western news sites, totally blocked. But on the flip side, Microsoft services like Bing and Outlook, as well as Apple services, think iMessage and Apple Maps, they generally work just fine. And of course, the local Chinese mega apps like WeChat and Alipay, flawless.
All right, let's move into Section 1, the easiest fix, travel eSIMs. Here we have the ultimate tech showdown. You basically have two main paths to choose from. First up, the roaming eSIM. This one is incredibly easy. It automatically bypasses the firewall without any extra software, but the catch is it doesn't give you a local Chinese phone number. On the other hand, going with a local SIM means you'll have to use a VPN to access your Western apps. That's a bit harder to manage, but it does give you that sweet local +86 phone number, which as we'll see can be highly useful.
So how does that eSIM trick actually work? Well, it's pretty brilliant. You are physically standing in Shanghai, connecting to a local cell tower to get those fast 4G or 5G speeds, but your data traffic is actually being tunneled all the way back to the eSIM provider's home country, let's say Hong Kong or Singapore. Because your network exit point sits safely outside the country, you skip the mainland filtering checkpoints completely. To the firewall, you just look like regular international roaming traffic, so Google, WhatsApp, and Instagram just work right out of the box.
But listen, I literally cannot stress this enough. If you wait until you land to download an eSIM profile or the provider's app, it's too late. The firewall will already be standing between you and the App Store. You absolutely must buy the plan and scan that installation QR code while you are still sitting comfortably on your couch at home using your own local Wi-Fi.
Moving on to Section 2, the local option, focusing on VPNs and physical SIMs.
Now, while an eSIM is fantastic for data, sometimes a physical local SIM card is just unavoidable. Why? Well, if you want to order food delivery on an app like Meituan, or if your DiDi ride-hailing driver needs to call you to confirm a pickup spot, you're going to need a local +86 number. Plus, you often need one just to receive the SMS verification codes required to log into public Wi-Fi networks at malls or train stations. So if you're staying for more than 2 weeks, this is probably the way to go.
But remember, if you are using that local SIM card, or you're logging into that hotel Wi-Fi, you are squarely on domestic infrastructure. The firewall applies to you now. Because of that, you will absolutely need a virtual private network, or VPN. This software encrypts your web traffic and routes it to an outside server, allowing you to bypass the local restrictions and finally check your Gmail.
I do want to neutrally point out the legal reality here. Unauthorized VPN services have been considered a legal gray area, technically illegal in China since 2017, and there have been recent warnings about their use. In practice, enforcement typically targets the people who build or sell these networks rather than a tourist quietly checking their email. However, because the firewall actively tries to disrupt consumer VPNs, you have to be smart. Download, purchase, and test multiple backup VPN apps that use obfuscation features like Stealth VPN before you leave home. Again, you won't be able to easily download them once you arrive.
Okay, let's level up. Section 3,
Tech Ninja move, hardware separation.
So this terrifying reality happens thousands of times a day to travelers. You're at a restaurant abroad, your card declines, and boom, your bank or your email or your corporate login wants to send a two-factor authentication text message to your home phone number. But if you turn on your home SIM internationally, it can instantly trigger a massive $10 a day roaming charge. What do?
The answer is a brilliant little concept called hardware separation. And hey, this isn't some sketchy hack. It's exactly how modern dual-SIM smartphones, like any recent iPhone or Android, were designed to be utilized by savvy travelers. You're basically just dividing the labor between two different phone plans at the exact same time to avoid those nasty fees.
By following these exact steps, you create the absolute perfect travel setup. First, you leave your home physical SIM active, but you explicitly turn its data roaming off, setting it to handle only calls and SMS. Then, you set your new travel eSIM as line 2, providing all your mobile data, and turn its data roaming on. Your phone's operating system is incredibly smart. It'll intelligently route your traffic, so WhatsApp and your maps use the cheap travel data, while your crucial bank texts still arrive perfectly on your home line. And here is the secret sauce for why this actually works. Telecommunications networks use something called SS7 signaling. When you land, your home SIM sends a tiny invisible ping to the local network just saying, "Hey, I'm here." That registration process, it doesn't use measurable data. And because receiving an SMS is free internationally on almost all carriers, your bank codes route independently of data connections, arriving instantly, and it costs you literally $0. All right, Section 4, the final boss trap, VPNs versus payments.
Now this is a trap that catches almost everyone at least once. Imagine you're standing at this amazing noodle stall in Chengdu. You scan the QR code to pay with Alipay, but wait, your VPN is still running quietly in the background, routing your connection through New York so you could check Instagram earlier. Well, Alipay sees a New York IP address suddenly trying to pay a local street vendor in Chengdu. It immediately assumes it's fraud, flags it as suspicious, and quietly blocks your transaction.
If you're ever standing in a queue and your payment just keeps failing without a clear error message, this IP conflict trap is almost certainly the culprit. The fix is super simple though. You just need to actively manage your VPN. Just toggle it completely off before you open Alipay or WeChat Pay, scan the code, pay for your noodles, and then you can just turn it right back on when you sit down to eat.
Let's look at Section 5, Mapping Your Route, the GPS Shift.
Get this, even with a totally perfect eSIM connection, Google Maps will literally walk you straight into a wall in Beijing. I'm not kidding. This happens because China uses a deliberately shifted coordinate system called GCJ02, and Google Maps data is outdated and doesn't correct for it properly, which places your little blue dot about 50 to 100 meters away from where you actually are. So you have to use alternatives. Apple Maps is actually excellent here because it licenses accurate local AutoNavi data. AMAP is absolutely brilliant for precise public transit routes, and Organic Maps, fantastic for completely offline English navigation. Ultimately, it all boils down to this single core strategy. The SIM you choose dictates your entire digital experience. If you choose a local SIM or rely on local Wi-Fi, you are actively putting the firewall right in your own path, and you're going to have to fight it with a VPN. But if you choose a roaming travel eSIM, you're literally routing right around the whole thing. Choose your toolkit wisely, folks, and make sure you do it before you leave for the airport. So, you are now fully equipped to maintain your digital sovereignty. You've securely bypassed the firewall and you are online. But that brings us to a massive, provocative hurdle. You've got your eSIM, your maps are routing perfectly, your backup VPN is ready, but that awesome local restaurant you found doesn't accept foreign credit cards at all. So how on earth do you navigate a society where physical cash is practically extinct and you don't have a Chinese bank account? Well, that is exactly what we're going to unpack next time. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember, prepare your digital life before you land.